knowing how to use a few plants well, which I learned in Molly's course, like that's the jam.
It is.
And like knowing them intimately. I want people to just be able to be very intimate with the plants that they know, so that they can have a really good relationship. And when people are like, oh, can you tell me about dandelion? I can tell you everything about dandelion because we're best friends, you know? Right. And like really treat them like they're beings versus just, you know, using them to sell.
Welcome to the Herbalist Hour. This is where community gather, merging the power of people and flowers, the sweet and the bitter to the salty, the sour. Umami, it's time for the Herbalist Hour.
Welcome back to the Herbalist Hour. Today I'm very excited and honored to be joined by Ellenie Cruz, Serenity Rain. Welcome to the show. Thanks for making the trip out here.
No problem. Yeah. I'm so happy to be here.
I want to say it's been probably 5 years since we hung out. Maybe it was the 2019 or maybe 2018 NOLA Herbal Gathering, which I'd love to touch on later on in the episode. But for now, let's get to know Ellenie more. Well, actually, first of all, why don't we talk about the space that we're at?
Yes.
You want to tell us where we're at?
So we are in the middle of City Park, and that's in the middle of New Orleans. It's one of the largest green spaces in New Orleans. There are two other green spaces, which is Audubon and then I want to say Bayou Sauvage. I hope I'm getting that right. But City Park is probably the more developed green space for people to just come and enjoy. Cafe du Monde is right over there. I'm sure people are thinking about beignets when they think of New Orleans. So it's a great place to come and enjoy nature and to get beignets if you want some beignets.
And some chicory coffee as well.
And some chicory coffee, right. Yes. And you can get it iced or hot.
Amen. I didn't realize there was a Cafe du Monde here in City Park. Has that been there for a while?
Well, it actually used to be Port of Call.
Okay.
And now Port of Call is just 5 minutes down the road, and then Cafe du Monde is here. Okay. The whole business behind it, I can't tell you, but I'm pretty sure somebody had more money than the other.
Yeah, I think we know what yep.
Cafe du Monde is like the name for beignets most of the time, especially when it comes to like tourism and things like that. But Miss Loretta's has really good beignets and pralines, so there are lots of places to get beignets in the city outside of Cafe du Monde as well.
All right. Well, let's get to know Ellenie a little bit more. I'd love to hear about your younger years and kind of finding your way to the plant path.
Yeah. So when I was younger, part of me wants to say I was a hot mess, but reflecting back, I'm like, you know what? I wasn't that bad. I definitely was sick a lot when I was a child. And my mom would take me to the doctor and they would give those bubblegum flavored medicines, and I wouldn't hold them down. I would just throw them up. And I would ask my mom, like, is there anything else? Like, is there something like that's not that? And I didn't really know what I was asking for when I was a child. As I got older and I hit puberty, I started having issues around my period. And I asked my mom again, like, what do I do about this? And she was like, take some Midol. Okay. So I took some Midol, nothing happened, didn't work. And I ended up telling my mom, like, Mom, I took 10 Midols, it's not working. And she was like, are you trying to kill yourself? And I'm like, no, I just want the pain to stop. And I was like, there has to be something more natural than this. Fast forward again, I turned 18 and my hair starts falling out and I'm feeling sick and I get a headache for like, I think it was like 6 to 8 months. And the doctors are doing brain scans and doing all these things and I'm feeling bad all the time. And at that point I was like, I feel really unwell. They were telling me, you know, you're overweight, you're pre-diabetic, you need to do something about it. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna change my diet. I started a vegetarian diet. I stopped dyeing my hair. I stopped using so many things that had a bunch of chemicals in it. And I even started making my own hair products. So when I was making my own hair products is how I kind of fell into herbalism. And I was like, oh, That's knew cool. that there was a natural way to do stuff. But it really started with my hair. And now being a little older, understanding how important hair care is and how important just the top of the head area is, the crown chakra, the ori. It makes so much sense that was my way into herbalism clearly. Because before I was just asking, like, there has to be something more natural. There has to be something. But it wasn't clear until I started, like, taking the chemicals away from hair. I used to dye my hair a lot. Okay. Like purple, red, orange. My hair has been almost every color. So that's where it kind of became clear to me and I settled in with starting to learn herbalism. From there, I started like self-teaching, and then I went to what was formerly known as Central, now Wild Ginger.
Oh, yeah.
And I met Molly Meehan, who you interviewed.
Shout out Molly Meehan, yeah.
I love Molly.
She's been on the show as well. That's so cool. So you actually, did you travel down to DC then, or Maryland to study?
Yep, I actually had already moved here. I'm from Delaware.
Oh.
I moved down here.
Okay.
Yeah, I moved down here, and I was living here for a year and a half, and I was teaching, and something just wasn't right. I've been teaching since I was 11 years old. So I was teaching, something was off, and there was just like big shift in my life that happened, and I saw what was then Central online, because I just got this like spiritual message that you need to be working with plants. And I'm like, well, where am I going to work? Where am I going to learn about these plants? And there was nowhere teaching about herbalism in New Orleans. So I'm like, well, there's nothing here. There was something, I think, in Mississippi or Alabama. But from like browsing through it, I'm like, yeah, but if I go over there, all of my peers are going to be white in that class. Like I can tell from the way it's marketed. I can tell from where it is. Like, I want a diverse setting with a diverse group of teachers. Yeah. And then I stumbled upon Central. And I was telling you earlier, I did capoeira.
That's right.
And the greeting in capoeira, you greet somebody, you kind of dap them up, and you say Ashe. So I was like, Central is going to be the place. I don't know nothing about Central, but it's the place. Yeah. And Molly even asked me, she was like, how did you stumble across Central here? And you're away in New Orleans. And I told her, that's the greeting we use in capoeira. And Ashe is, a greeting of just like good energy and like making things happen. And there's so much depth in that word that I can't go into right now. But that is what kind of like steered me into learning more about herbs in a more semi-formal capacity.
Okay. So when you went to Central, which is now Wild Ginger Herbal Center, was it the diverse
yes.
Students that you were hoping for?
Yes.
Yeah.
The student body was diverse. Yeah. The teachers were diverse. Yeah. Molly taught, Ayo Ngozi, who I feel like is now just like a beloved person in my life. Karen Culpepper, Holly Poole, and there are several others. But I feel like it was a good scope.
Okay.
We got to learn about Native American medicine. We got to learn about the history of the United States. I know for sure we learned from Toy Scott through their zine.
Okay.
And we got to learn about the influence of herbalism within the Black Panther Party. So like it was a very diverse curriculum, and like I knew that I made the right choice, like starting my herbal education there.
I would love to hear if you remember any factoids about the herbalism in the Black Panther Party.
Yeah. So what I can remember and recall off the top of my head right now is that their medical clinics were herbalists and doctors together.
That's so cool.
Side by side. Yeah. And wherever they weren't able to get like a consistent supply of medications, then they would use herbalism to fill in. And also it wasn't just a fill in. So if something could be treated with herbalism and nutrition, then that was the primary thing that they would use. But their health and wellness clinics relied heavily on herbalism.
That's so cool. It kind of reminds me of the Occupy movement, Occupy Medical back in Eugene, Oregon. I volunteered there for a little bit, but it was a team of herbalists, nurses, doctors, all trying to help out. And they all saw eye to eye, and they respected each other. So it sounds a lot like that. That's really neat.
In a perfect world, I feel like that's what we would have.
Yeah.
And we'd have it in every, not just like city, but in every neighborhood. Yeah. There would be doctors and herbalists and all of them that work together.
Okay.
I would love to see that.
Amen. Yeah, I would love to get more into that later too. And but for now, let's rewind a little bit. When you were starting to make hair care products, curious kind of like what were you using? And also, did you start to market and sell them to the public as well?
Yes. Okay. So at first I was just doing it for myself.
Yeah.
And then I was in college at the time. So I was like 20, 21. And I was using shea butter, some coconut oil, and argan oil, jojoba oil. And then I used a few essential oils. Okay. And this was before I like really knew anything about essential oils, before I knew how to like really infuse my own oils myself. And my hair was looking amazing. It was growing back. It was smelling good, if I say so myself. To the point that my peers were like, girl,
what's going on?
You got some of that? Can I have some? And I was making earrings at the time. So they were like, girl, you make the earrings and you pop up with the earrings. Why don't you sell your hair stuff too? And it's just like, that's all here, right? You see the earrings, you see the hair, like sell them both. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. And I had a little like, I remember drawing, because I do like some graphic design stuff. I remember drawing the little person. It kind of looked like me with the hair and the little crown. And like, this is the curly crown cream. If you got curly hair, this is what you need to use for your hair. And I kept that for years. I mean, I sold it in New Orleans too. And it was kind of like the staple of when I started.
Just a quick break from the show to thank our presenting sponsor, Oshala Farm. Oshala Farm is a beautiful and vibrant certified organic herb farm based in Southern Oregon, where they grow and sell over 80 different plant species. The founders, Elise and Jeff Higley, have been longtime friends, so I highly trust their growing methods and ethics. You'll love the potency and vibrancy of all the herbs they have to offer. To learn more and purchase their herbs and other organic goods, head to oshalafarm.com. So thanks once again to Oshala Farm for sponsoring the Herbalist Hour. Now back to the show. Enjoy. Is that when you started Ascension Arts?
So Ascension Art was Atabe Originals first.
Okay.
And then
Atabe, okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
And then I changed it into Ascension Art because I felt like I needed something that I didn't have to explain so much. Because people were like, I don't know what Atabe means, and I can't find that online easily. How do you spell it and things like that? So when I continued to like develop my craft as an herbalist and to continue to make jewelry and earrings and things like that, I was like, I need something that's more familiar, but that also still captures what I am doing and what I want to do and where I want to take this.
Why do you use the number 3 in Ascension Art?
Why do I use number 3? For me, 3 is body, mind, spirit.
Okay, cool.
I am not a super religion person, but I do like to dabble in different like cultures and spiritualities. So when I think of like the Holy Trinity, I think of the number 3. I also associate the number 3 with Eshu and being a messenger, and it being a number of divinity and divine medicine. So for me, that's what the number 3 represents. It's a lot, but that's mostly what it represents.
That's cool. What does Atabe mean?
Atabe is a Taino goddess, or Taino deity, and she is a deity, in short, of creation and fertility. I would also say even of justice too, especially when it comes to like taking care of the earth.
Was it you that had the Atabe School of Herbal Studies?
Yes.
Was that
That's
was you?
my school. That's my
Nice.
school.
All right, cool. I remember hearing about that. By the way, spelling Atabey, right?
Yes.
Am I getting that right? Okay.
And you may see it other ways, Atabex.
Okay.
You may even hear, like, if you're like looking at the Taino pantheon, then Atabeda, she has like 50 or might be 500. I can't remember. But she has a lot of different names.
So I know you juggle a lot as an herbalist. Are you still doing the Atabe School?
So everything has been on hiatus because, as you learned, I have a baby.
That's right. Congrats, by the way.
Yes. So I have hopes of reigniting the flame on all those things in 2025. But I'm also kind of just giving room for flexibility. I feel like before I had a baby, I was like, let's do the things, make them happen, go, go, go.
You were doing a lot.
I was doing a lot. It was a lot. Like teaching herbalism, doulaing, midwifing, all at once, which was crazy. I really had to like sit down and have a spiritual reckoning too and be like, y'all, I can't do this all at once. Like, I can do one thing at a time. So let's be very clear about what needs to happen when. And they were very clear. We're like, focus on the midwifery, focus on teaching herbs, but don't do anything else yet. I was like, okay.
I feel like when we last chatted, you were not, I don't want to say just a doula. I want to say you were a doula. Were you a midwife back then too? Or
I was just a doula I probably was, if you came in 2019, then I was just starting midwifery.
Nice, okay.
Yeah, but if you came in 2018, then I was just a doula.
So you're still doing midwifery then?
No.
No, you're not? Okay.
No.
So everything's on hiatus right now?
Everything's on hiatus right now. I have taught some classes, but they've been more reproductive justice centered. I'm hoping to teach a class on C-section scar remediation and infuse that class with herbalism and like body work and things like that. Hopefully that'll happen by the end of the year. But yeah, right now everything is on hiatus.
Okay.
My child is medically complex and she needs a lot, so it's not as feasible for me to live the on-call lifestyle anymore. When you're a midwife, you really sacrifice everything. You sacrifice your sleep.
Yeah.
You sacrifice your time with your family. You sacrifice time with your friends. And a lot of people don't understand how much sacrifice goes into being a birth worker, a doula as well, but really a midwife, because you're also sacrificing your livelihood if something goes wrong.
Yeah.
Because if something does go wrong, and whether you're responsible or not, you know, if somebody says you're responsible, even though you're not, you know what I mean? Like you're sacrificing your life.
That sounds stressful.
It's very stressful. It's very stressful.
You can't be handling all that right now.
Yeah, and you have to be very grounded, which to me, the being grounded part at that point in my life was very easy. But it's very stressful, and I just can't leave my house and go whenever I want.
With a medically complex child, I have to assume that this is teaching you a lot, and maybe you're going to be able to share these gifts when you do get back out there and help in the midwifery world again, would you say?
Yeah, I've actually, that's what I've already started doing. So I did get the opportunity to teach with the doula collective on how to show up for families in the NICU, and that was in the scope of as a care provider, whether that care provider is a doctor, a doula, a midwife, or family and friends, because a lot of the times when children go to the NICU, what we don't realize is like that child is super vulnerable. It's the reason they're in the NICU, right? No one is there supporting the families. No, the families aren't there, and especially since COVID, there's not the safety of being able to have people come and go because people are so worried about getting sick. So families that have babies in the NICU lose a lot of support. Whereas we're supposed to have a nice village around us, taking care of us, helping feed us. So I
just got to shout out all the NICU nurses. They're doing God's work, because one of my best friends, Jesse, actually is a NICU nurse. And it's kind of funny too, because he's never wanted children, but he's a NICU nurse, and every day he's holding tiny little babies. And you just have to imagine that babies don't just need nutrition, sleep, all the movement, stimulation, etc. They need love. They need love. And my buddy Jesse is in there just giving these babies, like holding them, giving them love. And you have to imagine that's helping them heal and grow stronger. Yes. Yeah. It is absolutely helping them heal. Yeah. Absolutely. Maybe the best medicine. It is the best medicine. I know that the reason my baby recovered from her surgery as well is because we sat there and like literally did some Reiki and just poured love into her. And then also, I told you my baby's nickname is Bacon. That's right. It's cute. And her nickname is Bacon because everybody loves bacon, right? I even tell people the vegans even love bacon. That's right. They make carrot bacon, coconut bacon. Everybody loves bacon, okay? There's people make substitutes for it all the time trying to get the flavor of bacon. And she got a lot of fans in the NICU because of her nickname. But that means there were a whole lot more people than just us that worked in the hospital that were on our side and said that, you know, no one ever spoke, you know, that she wasn't going to live. I remember telling you earlier that her condition has like a 5% chance of survivability. But no one ever said that it's likely your baby's not going to make it, you know, like everyone was always like, okay, we're going to make sure that, you know, she's good and we're going to do everything we can. And the whole goal was to bring home the bacon, and we did that. Bring home the bacon. We brought home the bacon. So you're saying almost, potentially you're saying hope and belief and healing is also playing a part in her survival. And love, and love. You said it. You said love. And I think love sometimes, and not all the time, but love sometimes is greater than faith. Because I'll be honest, I did not have a lot of faith. We had made certain decisions before, and you know, those decisions changed when it came to her care and what we were willing to do and not do. And I think really love was the most important thing, because love keeps you dedicated. Love keeps you committed to making sure that you're taking care, and you're taking care in the way that she needs the care, not the way that you think you know want to care for her, in the way that she actually needs it. Because there were so many things I thought that I would do for her as a mother that I never got to do, and that I had to grieve and be okay with and not be bitter about, you know. But that love was so big that I'm like, I don't even need to be bitter, because I just need to be present and love you. And
if something bad happened, I knew that I loved her, and I loved her with the biggest love I could ever possibly love her with. Yeah, and you know, that was enough.
Bacon's a lucky kiddo.
She's lucky.
Yeah.
She knew.
Yeah.
She knew who she was coming for.
That's right. That's right. So you're a mom, you're a doula, you're a midwife, you're an herbalist, and you just brought something up that I didn't know you were also into Reiki too.
Yes.
So are you like a Reiki master? If you
I am a Reiki master.
Nice.
I am. I think
awesome.
that the Reiki and the energy work, I feel like helps me with medicine making and with connecting with plants.
Yeah. Yeah, when you put your intentionality into the medicine making, that's got to improve the medicine overall, I would say.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Where did you study the Reiki?
I studied right here in New Orleans.
Okay.
That was something I was able to get here.
Nice.
I studied with Valerie McMillan of the Own Well. And I will say that, like, I feel like she like pushed the domino for me. You know, like if all my dominoes were lined up and just waiting to be knocked over, and I went and learned Reiki with her, and it just kind of pushed everything. And that's where I kind of was like teaching still, and had that big epiphany that I need to be working with plants, and I couldn't teach anymore. And then it started kind of manifesting in my body as like having anxiety attacks in front of my students. I've been teaching since I was 11. I've never been nervous to stand in front of a group of teenagers and teach. And then now I'm having an anxiety attack, and the administration, which is New Orleans public school administration, is crazy. The administration is, you know, upset with me because I took leave for a funeral, but I had enough days to go, you know. So it was just this weird culmination of things that happened that kind of started with me getting my first initiation in Reiki, and then sent me on that trajectory of, okay, now I'm going to Brazil and then to Costa Rica to go learn about plant medicine.
You always seem to be studying and traveling and learning. This is not meant to sound like the end of the show, but what is next for Ellenie? What are you going to learn next?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I don't know. Because I feel so like I need to be so grounded and be present with my daughter, I'm not sure. But
you're just living in the moment.
I'm just
present.
Literally living in the moment, and I yearn to like go back to Brazil and travel again. She's actually taking her first trip to Puerto Rico next month.
Oh, nice.
So there is going to be still some movement in that end. I can't stay still. But I'm thinking that, I know that I have a lot of gifts, and I take studying very seriously. So when I purchased my home, I had the intention of opening up part of the space of the home to bring people in to keep teaching. And also to maybe shift how I practice midwifery into more of a body work sense. So that's kind of where I'm leaning towards now, and that will still allow me to practice with my herbs, because the herbs and the body work go together. The energy work and the body work and the herbs go together. So I'm just trying to see and make sure, does this make sense for where I'm at right now before I go ahead and start doing stuff? Whereas before, I could just do stuff and see and be like, oh, if it don't work, it don't work. But most of the times, because I'm doing something that's very spirit-led and spirit-driven, it ends up working out. Right now, I'm like, no, I don't have the capacity to be testing stuff.
I get it. I have to know a couple questions. What are you going to do in Puerto Rico? And what were you teaching when you were 11 years old?
Okay. I got you. Okay, so we'll start with Puerto Rico. I'm going to go see my mama. My mama wants to see her grandbaby. So we're going to see my mama.
Makes sense.
We don't have any other plans to do anything else yet. But I am hoping to go to Louisa and kind of look at some of the art and maybe do a bamba class or do some bamba dancing while I'm there. So there's that. And then what was I teaching when I was 11? You ready for this?
I have to know.
I was a part of an organization called Project Pact through AIDS Delaware. And in Project Pact, which stands for Peers Achieving Change Together, we taught our peers about safe sex, HIV, AIDS awareness and protection, teen pregnancy prevention, gang violence prevention. And I think that was it. And we would teach through skits and poetry and dancing. So it was really, really cool. I got to skip school a lot because we would teach kids while they were in school. So a group of us from my school and maybe 3 other schools would go and create the skits, and a lot of research too. So we had to know the names of the medication for HIV and AIDS. We had to know the appropriate uses of condoms and which condoms to use and how to use them effectively so that we could actually teach someone else how to use it effectively. It got me in a little bit of trouble because a friend of mine from a close by neighborhood came knocking on my door one day for condoms, but I wasn't home. And my mom was like, why are people asking you for condoms? And I'm like, it's not me. It's not me. But I'm just keeping people safe, you know? So it's always been like reproductive justice has always been a part of my journey.
Wow.
Community change has always been a part of my journey. Teaching has always been a part of my journey. And yeah.
I would say you were born to do this.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Have you kind of always had this innate confidence and sense of direction in your life, or did that come through developing it? Like, you seem like very heart-driven, heart-led.
Yeah, I think it's been very innate.
Yeah, that's cool.
The only times it has become confusing is when I got the news that I was having an abnormal pregnancy.
Yeah.
That was the only time it became confusing.
Wow.
Yeah, but even then the clarity was still there. It was like, we're seeing it through.
Yeah.
Like, it was always, we're seeing it through. And it's not that I don't believe in abortion, right? But like, maybe this is too much for the podcast. I don't know. I've had an abortion before.
Yeah.
But from what I know and what I've experienced, I didn't want to go that route again.
Yeah.
So like when I did get the news that this pregnancy wouldn't be normal and they're not sure how long she would live or if she would live, everything in me, like even while I was crying, I was just like, we have to see it through though.
Yeah.
Even if she I'm going to give birth to her and she's going to pass away, we have to see it through. If I'm going to give birth to her and she's going to live, we have to see it through.
Yeah.
So that has always been there, but sometimes there is that like kind of noisiness in the background.
Yeah, I mean, pre-show we were talking, it feels like Bacon definitely chose you as her mom.
Yeah, girl.
That's incredible. Thank you for sharing all that.
No problem.
I would like to talk a little bit about the New Orleans herbal community, because like as we were talking before, you organized this event.
Yeah.
The NOLA Herbal Gathering.
Yes.
Have you seen the herbal community evolve and grow and change here?
Yes.
Yeah, how so?
Absolutely. I feel like the herbal community here has expanded a lot.
Yeah.
Especially after COVID, where people are looking for ways to keep themselves more safe.
Sure.
I think that much more people are now like confident in their skills with herbalism. So many people, I mean, at the same time that I started at Tabi School, Jen Stovall started Terra Silva. And now Rachel Reeves has her Roots and Remedies course. And like a lot of the herbalists who've been dedicated to herbalism for an extended period of time have their own programs. So many people are learning about herbalism, which means that we have this like, I don't know, it feels like this like uprising community of herbalists that are like, we all want to learn, we all want to take care of each other. And at the same time, we're all going to have herbal businesses too, because we need to also feed our livelihoods.
It's a beautiful thing. We were walking through Frenchman Street the other night, went in that little alcove where there's like a bunch of vendors and stuff like that. And there was this herbal products booth there. It was pretty cool to see. And, you know, later we're going to go interview Justine at the Maypop Herb Shop.
Yes.
I know y'all got the Rosalie Botanicals Herb Shop as well.
Yes.
And, so it's really amazing to see. New Orleans seems like the perfect place to develop an herbal community.
Yes.
I mean, there's beautiful plants everywhere.
Yes.
And yeah, it's really neat to see. Would you say it's also a very like diverse group of herbalists here as well?
I would say so, absolutely.
Yeah.
When I first started, I never say that we didn't have X, Y, and Z, right? Because it always exists. It's just where are you looking? Who are you connected to, right? So I learned a long time ago that by it's something grounds, I can't remember, but there's by the racetrack in New Orleans, there used to be a Black-owned herb shop.
Okay.
And if I remember correctly, it was prior to Katrina.
Okay.
Now, I feel like it's easier to find Native American or indigenous people that do herbalism in this area, Hispanic people that do herbalism in this area, Black folks that do herbalism, white folks that you see everybody doing it right now.
Yeah.
I feel like. So no matter who you want to go to, they're there. I feel like there's a deeper representation, and I also feel like that representation needs to be kind of cultivated and nourished so that we don't keep having these up and down waves of like New Orleans is this transient space.
Yeah.
People are coming and going all the time. So sometimes it just feels like, where are all the Black herbalists?
Yeah.
And they are here.
Yeah.
You just have to look in the right place for them. So when I started the NOLA Herb Gathering, I had actually asked Mama Sula, who is a priestess here. You probably met her, yeah. She was at the Herb Gathering.
Yeah.
She always does our, the first year she did it with Baba Kulu, but she always does our opening ceremony at the least, and then she teaches her music, because music is also healing. And so Mama Sula is the one who introduced me to Baba Kulu, and Kulu was an herbalist, and he was also a Sangoma, which is a traditional African healer in the, I want to say Ghanaian, but I got mommy brain, y'all, so y'all gonna have to excuse me. Go easy on me, please. But yes, he was a Sangoma, South Africa, that's what it is. Sangoma, he did his stuff in South Africa. And he's also a native New Orleanian. So from talking to Mama Sula, and then talking to Baba Kulu, and then talking to Jenga Mwendo, and then just finding all this network of people, like, see, there are Black herbalists here. You just have to talk to the right person. A lot of the times people aren't calling themselves herbalists. They're priestess, they're chefs, they are sometimes doctors and nurses, depending on what kind of doctor and nurse, right? So I always tell people, like, make sure that you're open-minded with how you're looking for your people and how you're looking for the people you want to work with. Yeah.
Is NOLA Herbal Gathering coming back?
I hope so. Yeah. It was supposed to happen this year.
Yeah.
I actually, the talks were in, and then it just didn't kind of make sense. So we're like, okay, maybe we'll hold out for 2025. So if not 2025, it has to happen in 2026. If it don't happen in 2026, y'all, stick a fork in me, okay? Somebody else can have it.
I was going to ask you about that. Like, did you ever have any co-producers of the event, or was it all you?
The first year was all me, and then I quickly was like, I want to do this with other people. I don't want it to be just me. I know that we can go further together. And I'm also reaching a point in my life where I really don't want to do anything by myself. Ascension Art wasn't even initially supposed to be me by myself. But when I asked my community, because I do believe in surveying your community to see what your community's perception is and also what your community needs are, when I asked them, and they were like, oh, Ascension Art is you. And they would describe all these things that did incorporate healing and this thing and that thing, but it very much was focused on me, which made me really sad. It made me really upset. And then when I came to terms with it, I'm like, okay, I guess that's okay, because if I am walking the walk and talking the talk, then why not? You know, it could be me. It could be me. That's fine. I'm healing over here too, and I'm not just selling healing. I'm embodying it. I am being it. You know, I'm practicing it. I'm living it.
Yeah. Well, I hope it does come back. Quick little side note. I don't know if you remember this, but I was planning a New Orleans Herbal Gathering way back in the day. And it was just so funny. I don't know if I've shared this on the podcast before or not, but it was just so funny because I remember wanting to organize the event at, not City Park, but Grodat Youth Farm, and it was literally slated for the same weekend as you, except a year later.
That is hilarious.
And it was funny too, because I told you that I was wanting to do this, and you were like, oh, Mason, you should still do it anyways. I was like, that was very gracious of you. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to try to also organize an event. I love the city. I wanted to be here, and I've always wanted to organize my own herbal event. And once I found out you were doing it in the year before, I was like, oh shoot, I'll just go to that one. So I was working at Mountain Rose Herbs at the time, and I was like, this is a perfect excuse to fly out to New Orleans, go to the first NOLA Herbal Gathering. And I was like, hey, Mountain Rose, will you at least, like, you know, pay for me to booth at the event or whatever? But which they did. They obliged, and it was really cool. Fantastic event. Perfect display of diversity in the herbal community. There were people from all over the world, I want to say, but
that shocked me, because even for the first year, there were people from all over that came to attend, and I was just like, yo, this is crazy.
Do you still have ties with Grodat at all? Are they still doing stuff?
They are still doing stuff.
That was a great
place. Their dynamic has shifted a lot because they've gone through a lot of leadership changes. So I don't know if I still got I mean, there are still people there that work there. We talk here and there, but I mean, if I'm being honest, that's kind of why there's a little bit of a delay, because I was like, I thought we were people, and we are people. We are people. I think if I'm being completely honest, I think that it's time for me to figure out how I can pour back into Grow That. You know what I'm saying? Because they were very gracious with the space and sponsorship the first 3-4. It would have been 4 years if COVID hadn't, did what COVID did.
Yeah.
So I think I just need to find a way to make the event a little bit more profitable, because we did have that sliding scale. We had the sliding scale the last year, but our attendance fee was very low. It's like $35 the first year.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it was very, very low. So like, we didn't make a whole bunch of money, but a whole lot of people got the chance to come.
Right.
And that's what I cared about, was like how many people can actually get here, and if they didn't come, they didn't feel like, oh, I missed out. And yeah, you did miss out. Let me not say that, but it didn't break my bank. Like if you had an emergency, it didn't break my bank that I couldn't come, because $35. Everybody got a little $35 here and there.
Exactly.
But yes, I feel like there needs to be a way that we can be able to compensate them, because they are a smaller organization than when I was over there. So figuring out how to feed each other, basically, and make sure that everybody remains having the same like health and wellness, because organizations have they're a body, and they have to be healthy and well too. So we need to make sure that we are taking care of each other, and I need to figure out a way where I can get some more financial increase so that I can take care of Grow That and them hosting us in that space.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that venue.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, we should go there.
They actually just renewed their, I want to say lease. Again, I might be using the wrong words. It's the mommy brain. But they just renewed their lease in that area of City Park. It was a big thing this spring, where City Park was definitely trying to take that land and put a road through it. And if you remember when we started, this is one of the greenest spaces in the city. Like New Orleans can't really afford to be putting roads in the middle of their green spaces.
Lucretia was
give us more flooding.
Yeah, Lucretia was telling us about how they divided the Treme with the highway overpass, and that used to be a lush green space.
Not only was it a lush green space, and maybe she told you or not, but that also used to be black businesses down there.
Yeah, that's a shame. Yeah, because now it's difficult to even cross that street.
Yeah.
I swear a car like drove right by my butt. Like it almost damn near hit me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and people drive fast there too.
Yeah.
Really fast. And there are still a lot of black businesses that pop up under the bridge. And I think that's just a beautiful way of showing resistance as well.
Absolutely. Speaking of Lucretia, you've been in contact with her. Are you guys homies now?
Yeah, we went and had some tea. She made me the best chai I've ever had in my life. Yeah, like 2 days ago. It was so good. And I was like, girl. I know she put fennel. I know there were some roses in it. But girl, I hope I'm not giving away your tips and secrets.
That's right, yeah.
She said she slow brewed it.
Oh, okay.
She slow brewed the chai. And I was like, duh, why wouldn't you slow brew chai?
Good call.
So she slow brewed it. I was talking to her that morning, and she was telling me the chai was going that morning, and I got to her like mid-afternoon-ish, little past noon. And the chai was just perfect. It was perfect. So I brought the little charcuterie things, and a little kiki and chill, and it was good.
Another herbalist to add to the mix of the New Orleans herbal scene.
Yeah, and hopefully there'll be some collaborations. We'll see.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
Because you asked about some stuff, and she want to do some stuff, and I want to do some stuff. And that's really all you need. Some people who want to do some stuff that will actually do some stuff.
That's right. Well said.
Yes, indeed.
Also, speaking of Molly Meehan, who we brought up earlier, if the audience is looking for another diverse herbal event, I don't know if she's still doing it, but the Chesapeake Herbal Gathering, have you been to that one?
Yes, she is still doing that, yep.
That is such a great event. I had the opportunity to go one time, and it was the first time where I want to say I saw probably more black herbalists than white herbalists.
Yes.
I don't know if you would agree or not.
Yes, but, I think she does a really good job of making sure that as many people are represented as possible.
Not just the teacher lineup, but actually the attendees as well. It was also the first time I remember hearing hip hop at an herbal conference. Which
really?
I was stoked for. Yeah, I was like, because hip hop's my jam. I love hip hop.
Yes, indeed. I actually saw on your podcast that you had somebody rapping the intro, and I was like, okay, amazing.
That's right. Shout out Torrin Frost, Seattle-based MC. But exactly, and I thought that was so cool. There was a big bonfire and people blasting reggae and hip hop and stuff. I was like, this is my type of herb conference. So.
Yes, indeed. I love that. I love that. She also does the Ellenie Herbal Gathering in Costa Rica.
In Costa Rica. Have you been to that?
I've been to that. Okay. I've actually taught at the first one, and it was absolutely beautiful. I'm hoping to be there this year, but I just won't know till last minute.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah.
Let's see what money does,
That's
and we'll see
right.
what my baby does first. But then after
Right.
my baby, money.
Right.
So we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see.
That's awesome.
But for people who are wanting to travel out of the country, who've never traveled out of the country, I think that's a good place to start. Costa Rica is really a beautiful place to go. It's really easy to get where you need to get to. And the people there are super friendly. So go to Costa Rica and go to Ellenie Herb Gathering.
Do you know Brandon Ruiz?
Yes. I met Brandon at the first Ellenie
say.
Herb Gathering. And then he just came down here recently, and I
Nice.
was like, oh, I got to go on the herb walk with Brandon.
Oh, is that what he did?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
And then he showed me that there's an herb, Cheney root.
Okay.
And it grows here, and I
Really?
love Cheney root.
That's awesome.
Love it. So I'm like, damn, Brandon is that dude.
He is. He was telling us about the Lang Herbal Gathering in Costa Rica, and he said it was like a nice intimate group, so you
Yes.
really have the opportunity to dive deep with individuals and stuff like that. So that would be a great one to check out. I'll leave the URL in the podcast description. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but that does sound like a lot of fun. Definitely got to hit up that one in the future at some point. I've never been to Costa Rica before, so what was that, Cheney root?
Cheney root.
I've never
yes.
heard of that. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, Cheney root. It's a really hard root.
Okay.
And it is really good for blood iron.
Okay.
It's also great for inflammation. And I want to say cancer and diabetes
Okay.
as well.
Sure.
Because it does help with like lowering blood sugar.
Okay.
It has a very, it's really nourishing. So it has that like sweet taste to it, but it's not the sugary sweet, you know?
Okay, yeah.
I don't want to get people confused who maybe are just learning about herbalism.
Sure.
When we say sweet, it's a very subtle sweetness. But it's a really beautiful herb. And it's cool because Cheney root is really hard and it's hard to process.
Yeah.
But once you boil it, you can really keep boiling it over and over and over again until like it doesn't have any flavor anymore, because it's so potent and it's so hard that like it will just keep giving medicine. It's very generous like that.
For whatever reason, chaga mushroom came
Yes.
to my mind, and I'm like, you shouldn't be getting rid of it after your first boil. You could
No.
get so much more out of that.
No,
so.
and it's such a, like, not even just a waste. I feel like it's disrespectful to the plant. Like, don't
Absolutely.
you throw that away.
Yeah, absolutely. So we changed locations because the sun was getting a little bright. So here we are now. Are you a lifelong New Orleanian now, you think?
No.
No.
I will be ecstatic the day the city decides to let me leave.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I've tried to leave before,
Yeah.
and the city has definitely been like, come back right now.
Really?
Right away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where would you go?
Now I'm not so sure. I think even though global warming is a thing, I think I'd probably still choose somewhere tropical.
Somewhere in the south.
Somewhere, well, out the country
Out
for
of the
sure.
country, yeah, gotcha.
And somewhere tropical, somewhere where I can have mango trees in the backyard and my food is just ready to pick off the tree, you know?
Okay.
That's what I want, and a nice, beautiful, quiet life there.
Yeah.
That's it.
Awesome. Okay, cool. What do you think keep you coming back to New Orleans then?
I really just feel like it's something spiritual. Like,
Yeah.
when I tried to leave to go to Miami, I think after my second year here, it was actually never meant for me to, my plan was never to stay in New Orleans.
Okay.
My plan was to come here, do a term of service, and then go to graduate school. And as I was trying to go to graduate school, everything just kept falling through, and I just was like, universe, ancestors, whoever,
Yeah.
give me a sign. Am I supposed to go to New Orleans? Because I will go back right now. I will not go to sleep. Tell me. And so I drove to a coffee shop to email my professors, or who was supposed to be my professor, and I got a sign. It was a literal Mardi Gras sign that lit up. I was walking to the coffee shop and it lit up.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, I'm going to New Orleans. I don't even think I stayed to email them. I think I sent them an email from my phone. It was like, hey, I can't make it work here, and maybe I'll fly in and go to class, and I'm going back home.
Do you have any favorite New Orleans dishes?
Oh, man.
That's a selfish question for me.
Well, you know, I married a New Orleanian.
Yeah. Good cook.
So red beans and rice.
Yeah.
He
Oh,
does
yeah.
make the best beignets because his
really?
beignets, yes, his beignets are hollow. I can't have gluten no more, but Beignet Fest is like really expensive now.
Yeah.
So we had Beignet Fest at the house last year.
Okay.
And I feel like I won. I know I won. Okay.
Gluten-free?
I won. I didn't make gluten free
Okay.
because I wasn't gluten free last year. This year I am. And we use his original recipe, and his recipe makes the beignets hollow.
Okay.
So we stuffed them, and they were amazing. So I did a raspberry, kind of like a raspberry coulis with hazelnut, really like a Nutella, but I made it from scratch inside the beignet, and it was amazing.
Sounds
because it got all melty and it was so good.
Man would like that.
But I think red beans, I can't never go wrong with red beans.
Do you do it on Mondays? Or
We don't do it on Mondays. We just do it when we want it, and then we make it. It's just me and him and our daughter, and like we'll make a big pot and we'll just eat off that, and we'll freeze some of it and just, meal prep.
I've made you red beans and rice, right? Yeah. I like that.
Now, before I moved down here, I learned to make jambalaya, which I didn't know anything about New Orleans culture back then, but I learned to make jambalaya. I learned to make, no, I never made gumbo. Let me not lie. But I did learn to make jambalaya, and I really used to love jambalaya. But I think red beans. Just a good New Orleans
classic.
Red bean.
Yeah. Are there any plant allies you've been working with personally that you're very fond of?
Always. Cardamom is that girl.
Really?
She's always my girl.
That's cool.
She's going to be my girl forever.
That's amazing.
Okay? In everything, in my Jamaica, there's cardamom. In my everything, there's cardamom. Like, there's probably very few preparations I make for my business and for myself that does not have cardamom in it.
It's funny how we're just so drawn to these flavors and tastes, and cardamom's that for you.
That is it for me. It's just like very light, but also bitter and sweet and
some weird
kind of
aromatics
floral-y.
in it.
Yeah, and the fragrance is so strong and so delicate at the same time. Like, I want to be cardamom.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I want to be strong
you
and
embody
delicate.
Cardamom.
Well,
You're a
thank you so much.
cardamom.
I am a cardamom.
Cardamom.
Okay. I had this cardamom sweet cream from a restaurant before. I don't even remember what they put it on, but that sweet cream, that whipped cream with cardamom infused, was amazing. And then I ended up cooking for a ceremony that was happening in Houston and made a cashew cream kind of inspired by that with the cardamom. Just amazing.
You're the first person to say that answer. That's really cool. I love that cardamom.
I love cardamom.
Was it in Lucretia's chai?
Probably. I'm not sure. And, I was looking for it. If it was there, it was light.
Faint, yeah.
It was very faint, but like when I do my chai, it has a lot of cardamom. But I still like her chai better.
Okay.
So I might, like, if I could take her chai and add a little extra cardamom if it's already in there, that would be
I wonder
my
if her
jam.
chai recipe is in her book.
I'm gonna have to look because I got that book. I haven't got her to sign it yet, but I'm coming for you, Lucretia. You're gonna sign my book.
Awesome.
Yes, indeed. And then the other one is just hawthorn and dandelion root because gotta stay with the heart medicine. You love that tattoo.
Thanks. So hawthorn and dandelion. Hawthorn's another one of my jams too.
Yes.
Speaking of jam, do you ever make hawthorn jam before?
I haven't made hawthorn jam, but I definitely have enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I need to make it. It's so good.
Yeah.
I've made the syrup plenty, but I need to make the jam.
Yeah. Well, as we wrap up here, why don't you tell us about an upcoming event you got going on?
So we have our transgenerational healing event. There's going to be a little mini retreat here in New Orleans. So if you are interested in family constellations work, we have Makosi Noni coming from London. She's between London and Barbados, and she's going to be coming to teach us about transgenerational healing, family constellations, herbal constellations, and that's all happening in New Orleans. We're really lucky to be partnering with her for it. She's very adamant that it happens in New Orleans, and then she's going to be doing a bigger training later next year. So I'm really excited to be working with her on that. And then otherwise, people will just have to stay tuned because I want to do the C-section remediation class. I want to start back, teaching next year, but you just got to follow on Instagram or join my email list and figure out when things are happening.
So Instagram is at Ascension Arts?
At Ascension Art. Ascension spelled with a 3_art.
Okay. And then the website's also ascensionart.com.
Yes, ascensionart.com.
And that's where people can register for the event as well, or?
They can follow the link on the Instagram page to register for the event.
Sweet.
And this event is BIPOC only, but Makosi Noni may be doing some other work in the future too that incorporates everyone.
Very cool. Well, as we wrap up here, what's your vision and dream for the future of herbalism and the herbal community, if you will?
My vision and dream for the future of herbalism is that people connect with the plants and keep connecting with the plants and let the plants be the forefront of herbalism versus, just purchasing plants to sell them to people.
Right.
I think the more that each of us connect with like a very few plants and we know them really, really, really well, that we can have like more like collaboration amongst us and also just like, I don't know, knowing how to use a few plants well, which I learned in Molly's course, like that's the jam.
It is.
And like knowing them intimately. I want people to just be able to be very intimate with the plants that they know so that they can have a really good relationship. And when people are like, oh, can you tell me about dandelion? I can tell you everything about dandelion because we're best friends, you know?
right.
And like really treat them like they're beings versus just, you know, using them to sell.
It's so funny. I have this like fear of teaching herbalism for whatever reason. I like to be behind the scenes or the host of a show and that kind of thing. And then Herbal Academy asked me to teach a class on dandelion. I was like, oh shit, I don't know if I could do this. And I was very nervous. Next thing you know, Amanda and I produced a 25-minute class of me teaching about dandelion. I was like, okay, I guess I know a thing or two. I know this plant intimately well. So that was just beautiful how you put that. Yeah, know a few plants very well. It's not about the herbalists and their egos. It's about us developing relationships with the plants. I don't know if that's what you're implying.
Yes,
but
that's exactly what I'm implying. And I think that's where we're going to continue to heal on an individual level and also as a community and our relationship to the earth.
Yeah. Whew. That's a great way to wrap up the show. Ellenie Cruz, thank you so much for joining us on the Herbalist Hour. Thanks to y'all for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you for having me, y'all.
Absolutely.
Y'all are awesome.
Thanks so much for watching today's episode of the Herbalist Hour. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want more great herbal content, be sure to subscribe to our Herb Rally YouTube channel. If you enjoy these Herbalist Hour episodes and you'd like to join us live, you can do so by becoming an Herb Rally Schoolhouse member. Learn more at herbrally.com/schoolhouse. And if you want to get your first 30 days for free, use coupon code YouTube30 at checkout. So our Herb Rally Schoolhouse members get access to exclusive video classes, monographs, and a lot more herbal community discounts, along with joining these live Herbalist Hour interviews. So one more time, herbrally.com/schoolhouse. Enter coupon code YouTube30 at checkout to get your first 30 days for free. All right, we'll see you in the next episode and take care.